because that would be just the sort of thing that I would do.
Hmm.
And I'm going to go ahead and apologize if you hear Rugrats in the background. It is nearly dinner time where we are, and the little one is feisty.
That's all good. That's home. That's home. That's what all this stuff is all about anyway.
Yes, sir. Now we'll see how bad my tongue ties when I do all these intros because my brain is going 5 times faster than my mouth. This will be fun. And does everybody remember what our topic is before I restate it? No, it's okay. So, neurodiverse inclusivity during DEI's sunset.
Ooh.
We're reframing what a lot of people are taking as a negative into a positive. How do we continue to get our inclusivity and everything that we need in all of our accommodations and respects while all this is going on politically?
Perfect. Perfect. Love it.
That's like all my favorite topics. So I'm primed. Let's go. Let's say
I am
less.
too.
Let's
I'm
go.
psyched. I love it. I love it. So I'm
And
ready.
hey, the other one that you wanted to be on, I ended up moving it back into the schedule into May. So if you want, I can go ahead and slot you in.
Put me in, coach. I'll play
You're in
anytime.
every week,
Oh,
sir.
okay. All right.
I'm the transplant.
Oh, okay. All right. Welcome.
We're getting close.
Excitement breath.
30 seconds.
Countdown. Space shuttle. Good care.
My mind, now my mind.
He's playing me.
And we're happy to announce a brand new show with Deanna and Jeremy Brakefield. Uh, Today's event is Neuro-Inclusivity during DEI Sunset. Take it away, Deanna.
Hello and welcome. Thank you so much, Fred, for helping us produce our show today. This is Neurodivergent News Live Edition. We are on the live broadcast. It is amazing. We are so happy to be here. So, like I said, this is Neurodivergent News, where we are redefining what it means to be neurodivergent in a neurotypical world and providing the resources that you need to live in a quote unquote normal world. I am your host, Deanna Brakefield, neurodivergent advocate and owner of Lionheart Kingdom Marketing. And I have with me today a great group of people with a a wide spectrum of specialties. Jeremy Brakefield, who, yes, that's the same last name, my wonderful husband. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, I am Jeremy Brakefield, the founder of the Lionheart Kingdom and husband of Deanna Brakefield, father to 7 neurodiverse kids, and I guess just all around sort of a philosophy student.
So if you can't tell, my husband is so not used to being in front of the camera and the microphone, but that's okay. We're going to loosen him up as we go along. I also have with me James A. White Sr. Please, sir, introduce yourself.
James A. White Sr. I'll start with I have 9 great-grandchildren, 10 grandchildren, 3 children, and I am the owner of a company called Performance Consulting Services here in Columbus, Ohio, where I've had the company now with my daughter for 33 years. And what we do at Performance and Consulting Services, we assist individuals, groups, and organizations in identifying development tools that will allow them to empower themselves in their pursuit of performance excellence. So that's it. If someone wants to say, I want to take it to the next level and it's a healthy move, then we are there to help them and support them. We've been with a wide array of companies, organizations, school systems, you kind of name it, and we've been there. Really excited about the program, and thank you so much for inviting me. So I'm looking forward to a good exchange and good sharing. So thank you.
Absolutely. Now, normally we would have one more regular panelist here, but he was not able to join us today. So, well wishes to him, and hopefully, we will see him next week. But we do have an extra special guest with us today. She is just a neuro-spicy bundle of energy. Miss Cara Jean, please introduce yourself.
Yes, hello, I'm Cara Jean of Taking Care of Business. I am the creator of the Cara Method, which is a neurospicy framework for personal development, team development, and business development, because turns out people skills are human skills, because people make up all business and all the planet. And if you would like to have more business in business and more life in your life without killing yourself and falling what I call the hustle cult, then you're gonna need to have those skills, and that's what we work on.
Beautiful.
In a spicy way.
So, as you can see, we have an amazing group of people here. And today we are just going to launch right into it. We're talking about what's happening in our neurodiverse culture, the things that are spinning around our universe, and how we should approach them. And, there's a lot of talk going on about education and DEI and a lot of scary things that people are talking about coming down the pipeline in the next couple of months. So we're going to shake that conversation up just a little bit and approach it from a different perspective. Neurodiverse inclusivity during DEI's sunset, and what that looks like and how we maintain our momentum. So any first thoughts?
I love the fact that you're addressing it, because there are people who think that just like DE&I is only for certain people. So neurodivergence, which you introduced me to that because that was new. It happens to everyone across the line. And I know it started with me before they knew what dyslexia was, because back in the day, all they would say was that Jim White is a great basketball player, but don't ask that boy to read a damn thing because you'll be stuck here for a long time. And it really hurt me, but fortunately enough for me at that time, the thing that carried me through was I was a basketball player, so they overlooked the challenge that I was suffering with. And I was really, really sad and embarrassed by it. But I was able to work through it, where some of my other students who had similar kinds of challenges, they were labeled. So I think that would be my opening.
Cara?
Oh yeah, so many thoughts. Oh my God. So getting the spicy brain to formulate sentences when there's so many different things you want to say at one time, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I love about diversity, equity, and inclusion is you can do away with DEI, but you can't do away with diversity, equity, and inclusion. I'm sorry, that's just never going to go away. And for me, this is why we say the spice rack, right? Because turns out we have neuroplastic brains that adapt through neurogenesis, literally from the first experience to the last. So we're all divergent. Welcome to the spice rack. So you can try and get rid of DE&I, but nothing else is going away. But the fact that you're taking away an acronym, diversity still exists. Equity still exists, inclusion, and James, back me up on this. That in business, teams that are more diverse, that bring in those alternate perspectives, 60% more successful. Absolutely. Consistently.
Absolutely.
Why would you get rid of that?
Right, absolutely. And they can embrace more customers. They have every kind of approach. They have new ideas, new ways of doing things. And when people talk about, Jim, what is DE&I? What I tell them, go to your family reunion. And guess what you have? You have diverse family members in your union. You in your reunion. You have equity because they do not want to be left out. They want you, if you give your child a chicken leg, don't give my child a chicken wing. They want to be treated with equity and they all want to be included. They all want to make sure that they receive the information and that they get the same kinds of comfort. So it starts at our essence, at our family. It's everywhere and it never, ever, ever, ever goes away. It can't go away. If it went away, people would no longer exist. That's
Okay, but I
right.
think a lot of the issues that people have always had with DEI is that it's almost a forced regulation of what should be a moral standard. Does that make sense?
Yes, girl, I can talk a lot. So moral standard and for the whole force piece, one of the things that I have been teaching with DE&I for 30 years, you should never, ever, ever put a person in a position where that individual does not have the skill, does not have the insight, does not have the intellect to perform the task. Because if you do that, you hurt that person, you hurt that organization, and you hurt the whole concept. The only thing that DE&I is saying that is that let's make sure we give everyone, I'll go to basketball, on a team an opportunity to try out. That's all DE&I says. Now, if you get out on the floor and you can't perform, the coach says, hey, I like you, but we got a manager's job over here that we could share with you. But not because of your DE&I, it's because that you didn't exhibit the skill that was needed in order for them to participate in the manner that they wanted to participate. So if it's forced, someone has abused the system. It's just like streetlights. I think traffic is one of the most beautiful systems in the world. And traffic has worked over and over and over again, 99.9% of the time. But guess what you always have? You always have someone who wants to beat the lights. You always have someone who wants to speed, but that is not the norm. That is the exception. And that individual needs to be held accountable for the infraction. But DE&I says, let's just give everyone a chance to participate and to play. Carol, what do you
I
think?
mean, yeah, 100% agree with everything you just said. Yes, what I heard there is that diversity, equity, and inclusion allows for people to come to the table who would otherwise not be considered. I think that's factually accurate. Yep. And and if it was a forced regulation of a moral standard, it wouldn't feel forced. But the problem is we don't have moral standards. Like morals are so subjective. That's like right or wrong. That is emotionally intelligent from my perspective. 100% right for me means jack to anybody else because it's my experience. And hierarchy, I think the reason that it feels so uncomfortable is because it denies standard hierarchy, which my brain doesn't get anyway, so it aligns for me. For me, I'm just like validated. Thank you for that. I don't understand the concepts of higher. My brain just doesn't. Are you not a meat suit full of hormone soup? Cool, me too. Awesome. So we're the same and we can move from there. Apparently, that's not typical. Apparently, like if your boss tells you to do something, you're supposed to do that because your boss told you. And boy, let me tell you, in corporate America, did I get in so much trouble because I didn't get that. I was like, but
Why?
but why should I do that? I mean, I'll do my job. I will absolutely do my job. But you just want to ask me to do things. And if it's not, I'm going to say no, or you're going to have to help me understand why.
I cannot tell you how many hundreds of times over 2 decades my husband came home from work and he had an issue on his job because he said, but why? And they were like, just do it. But why?
That's one of the things you run into when you have the aught HD people, because we're gonna look 3, 4, 5, 6 layers deeper than what neurotypicals and people that just they're not detail oriented. They're not going to look that deep. They're just going to scratch the surface. Oh, okay. You want me to put this thing over here? Okay, okay, that's fine. So they'll put it over there, and then you have the aught HD who's going, but if we put it over there, then tomorrow when somebody else comes to retrieve that something, they're going to have to walk halfway around the building to try and get to it because of this other thing that you're not even thinking about that's going to be going on.
And then hierarchically, that person's the boss and knows the best and knows the right way, but tangibly that's not true. That this is why command and control leadership, while so effective in situations, which because it's not about good or bad, right? It's about, is it productive or unproductive? And diversity, equity, inclusion is consistently productive. But command and control is only sometimes productive. And we know this with children, right? If you tell you go do this, and your kid will go do it, go do this, your kid will go do it. But if they don't want to do it and you're like, go do this, they're like, no. And you
That
better
is
be
assuming
able
you
to.
don't have a kid with PDA. That's a whole different ballgame.
Right, right. And that, I mean, turns out when you just meet people like people and have a conversation and have that discussion, if you include them and their diverse way of thinking into that, you come up with an equitable solution that takes care of everyone.
Absolutely. And you will possibly come up with an idea that maybe you and the group that you've been working with did not have, because they just don't think that same way. So they can take you to. I know when I finally, I graduated from college, undergrad. I wanted to get a master's, and I knew, looking at all those books and all that work, I'm saying there's no way I'm going to be able to read through all of those things. And what they told me was, they said, Jim, let's take a test. And they took the test, this exam. And then they said, well, the reason why that might be a challenge for you is because you're dyslexic. And I had them explain what all that was. They said, but here's what we'll do. We will, if you have to take a test, we'll either give you a reader or we'll give you an extra hour or 2 hours to complete it. And as a result of having that assistance, I was able to perform at a very, very high rate, get my master's, blah, 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 do all those kind of things. And then I got to the point where I was no longer ashamed of saying to someone, no, don't give me the book to read without letting me know about it the night before. If you give it to me the night before, not only will I get that message through, but I will share it with everybody else, and I'll make sure that everyone gets that message, because then I could act it out, I could talk it out, I could do all those things after I had internalized it, as opposed to me standing up in front of someone and just reading what was on the book itself. So it just allowed everyone to win. I was able to win as a result of them giving me that time. And then the other people in the environment that we were in, they were able to get it from a broader perspective, and it works well. It just works so well for me. And so I just love the whole thing. Again, I keep going back to neurodivergent science. I love it. I love the term. It just makes so much sense. So thank you for introducing me to that.
One can almost infer from what you're saying that as far as inclusivity is concerned, that there is a shame element associated behind that we need to get rid of as a society, that there is no shame that we're different, utilize us correctly.
Yes.
How close do you think we are to that goal?
Ooh.
Oh, I have thoughts on that.
The faces.
My face be facing.
Personally, I feel like we are both 3 steps away from it and 100 miles away. Because
Okay.
because at the end of the day, I think what it is that we are, in fact, 3 steps away. All we have to do is take 3 steps in this direction over here, and we're going to get there. But the problem is everybody's looking in the opposite direction. It's so far. It's 100 miles that we have to go in this direction to get there. And you have a group of people that is sitting back going, no, it's right here. It's right there. All we've got to do is just treat each other with a little bit of respect. Actually go back to the way we used to be, where it was identifying our talents at a young age, identifying how people thought, and then figuring out what would be the best method for them. Instead of trying to pound a square peg into a round hole, which is essentially what's been going on for about the past 50 to 100 years with the education in the country.
Yes, yes.
Go ahead, Cara.
I mean, right. And I would even say the problem is we're 100% there. We're not even 3 steps away. We're there, but we're also 100 miles away because it hasn't been the last 100 years. We're talking 100 generations. From the first moment someone said, I know the right thing, I'm ordained, whether you were the Raja or the king or the queen or the sultan, like the first moment that happened and somebody said, this is the right way because I know what the right way is. And somebody else was like, that doesn't work for me. They're like, you're wrong. You're wrong. It's clearly there's something inherently wrong with you because I'm right. I know every.
Right.
So we've been doing this for a real long time. It's not an American thing. It's not an administration thing. It is the hustle cult that you have to figure out how to fit in rather than go find where you belong. And so I recently fell into World Talk and Global Talk on TikTok. I was so for America dropped off of TikTok for like 12 to 24 hours, right? And there was a vacuum of content. Like we are mass producing, high performing, heavily masked. This is what success looks like. Don't I do it so pretty? Content creators. Thank you. Been doing that for a long time here. That's factually true. And so they're like, oh, it's the Americanization. That's the problem that's going on. And I'm like, no, it's stop pointing fingers. We got to stop pointing fingers. Like it is, you can't hold someone accountable. You can help them take accountability and point out where their responsibility is. But until we stop holding each other accountable and start holding ourselves accountable and looking at where that lives in ourselves, because it does. Generationally, we've been doing this for so long, it sneaks up in the weirdest places. Do you put your toilet paper on, roll forward or roll backwards? Why are we fighting about it?
Right. As long as it's there.
Doesn't the toilet paper roll go on the side of the tub?
Sitting on the counter, right? Like
For me, it comes down to the basis of the person. Because in my experience, generally people come in two varieties. Either they want to get along or they don't want to get along. The people that want to get along, they're looking for how we're the same. How are we? We're both human. If you prick me, I bleed. I mean, we both bleed red. You look for those people, they look for those commonalities. For the people that don't want to get along, they're always looking for you're white, I'm black. You're male, I'm female. You're Christian, I'm Muslim. You're this, I'm that. It's always how are we different? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how we're different. What matters is how we're the same. And when you pay attention to that, that's going to bring people together. And at the end of the day, that should be the entire point, because we shouldn't be like crabs in a bucket. I mean, if I think at this point, most everybody knows with the crabs in the bucket, they'll start climbing up, and then eventually, nope, 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 they start getting pulled back down.
That's right. That's right.
And we don't need to be that way.
No.
Instead, we need to be, hey, somebody's getting out. Let's push them up. Let's give them a boost. Let's help them up there. Because once they get up to the lip, they're not just going to jump off the bucket into the ocean and be gone. They're going to turn around, reach a claw back down, and help us up and help us get out of the bucket too. But for some reason, human society, we don't want to do that. We want to keep pecking at each other. We want to keep pulling each other down. We want to make ourselves feel better by putting down someone else. And we have to, as a culture, stop that. It's not something that it's necessarily going to be talked about, legislated, or browbeat into people. It's something that literally we have to show respect to each other that, look, you're different. You don't believe what I do. That's fine. You don't have to believe what I believe. You just have to show me the respect that I'm allowed to believe what I believe.
And we're going and let me know what the objective is and allow me the opportunity to go after to achieve that objective. The one example that I can share, and I'll take two of my grandchildren, Jayla and Stacy. Right now, it is probably about 10 years ago, 11 years ago for each one of them. I made sure that they went from special class. Both of them were in special class. I went to school, I talked to them, I looked at what the teachers were doing, blah, 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 blah. And out of the 50 some odd kids that were in special class, they were probably 4 of children who went from there to college. And so I got my 2 in college. And what they had, I think the title was a development action plan. And so what what we did when we went down there, we met with the school counselors, and they said, okay, well, we can work with the kids with a development action plan that'll help them get through. That'll anytime they have a problem, anytime they have an issue, they come to us. We don't come to them. We don't point them out. It's confidential. All those kinds of things. Well, my grandson stayed in a year and a half, and after a year and a half he drifted, went someplace to New Jersey with a girl. And recently I said, what was it that made you leave? He said, Granddad, I was just kind of hesitant. I didn't want to use the DAP. I said, why didn't you? He said, because it made me feel bad. It made me feel embarrassed. It made me feel like I had to have something extra. He said, but I realized that was because I was young and I was naive. He said, today, knowing that there's an opportunity for me just by going and talking to that counselor as you set everything up, that if I would have had a problem, bam, I could go there. They would help me through it. And he, of course, now I'm going back. I'm going back. And my granddaughter saying the same identical thing. But there was that, at that time, there was that kind of stigma that was connected with anyone who had a development action plan. And what we need today, everyone needs a development action plan because we're all unique and we're all special and we all have things that we can do probably in ways that are different than what we're doing. We all have situations that we get stuck in, and we should not be afraid to say, I'm stuck there. That one doesn't work for me. What can I? It doesn't mean that you're not capable. It doesn't mean you don't have the intellectual capital to be able. It just means you haven't had exposure to that particular issue, problem, situation that way. But you probably know it from some other ways. And so those are 2 examples, and I talk to them about it all the time. Both of them have children now, and they're trying to get it back together. But I said, your path is going to be a bit more challenging now than what it was. But that's no excuse not to go back and do it. And so we're doing everything we can to get them back in. But that was 10 years ago. That stigma was there. Today, I don't think the stigma is as bad as it used to be. So doing things like what you're doing here really, really, really helps people to understand what that backup and what that support means when needed, when needed.
Well, I mean, I think for me, and I'm going to step on Jeremy's toes a little bit here, but the whole concept of DEI is approached much, much too late in life because a lot of it is foundational beliefs that are formed when we are really little that revolve around the whole different is dangerous concept that's part of our animal brain. And so we don't want to stand out because we don't want to be seen. There's my tongue tie. Don't want to be perceived as different and therefore dangerous to the herd.
Right. Fitting in.
That's what I was going to jump in. So psychologically, the differentiation isn't so much on who looks for the similarities, who looks for the difference. Not that I don't think that applies, but what they have coined is it's assumption of intent is really where that differentiation comes in. Because to that point, psychologically, we are designed to look for similarities. That is why we can like look at a wall and be like, oh, do you see that face? And everyone's like, yeah, I see that face, because we're literally groomed to look for how we are the same. But you either assume positive intent and therefore the difference is something to be celebrated. And that's that intentional pathway into that above the line growth mentality versus thriving space versus the survival space, right? Mm-hmm. The below the line survival space, which we're physically and genetically designed for survival. So, you know, a brain slipped there. Right. And in that place, then our differences become frightful and scary because we have to be right. And if we're not right, then we are in danger. And whether we are physically in danger or emotionally in danger, our brain is like, danger. Mm-hmm. And we have to be like, okay, look, we're not actually on fire. And turns out just because they want to dig left-handed rather than right-handed doesn't mean they're consumed by a demon. That just means they're left-handed and I'm right-handed.
Right, exactly.
But that's
You know,
the term they use is assumption of intent.
yes, and to build on that one, I use a piece that I've been in class and everywhere that I've been using for probably 30 some odd years, and I call it the 7-11 phenomena, which is in the first 7 seconds of someone seeing you, they reach at least 11 conclusions about you. And then what they do is they MSU, make stuff up about you, as opposed to saying, oh, this person is interesting. I need to go to talk to them. I need to find out why they do it that way, because maybe I can incorporate that in my style and the way that I do things. But what folks are doing is, like you were saying earlier, they see something that's different and you have to like do something with it. And then when we talk about this in class, what I tell people, the truth is, it's not just in the first 7 seconds, it's in the first 1/20th of a second that I see someone, I process 264 data points about that experience. And then that's when I need to be able to say, wow, I want to get to know more, especially if my first thought that I have about someone that I met for the first time is that there's something wrong with that person. My thing is, what is it about me, James Arthur White Sr., that causes me to make a decision that I don't like someone that I have never, ever met? What is it about me that causes me to do that? Not about the other person, because I'm the one who's doing it, not that other individual. And seek, what Covey said, what? Seek first to understand. Seek first to understand. So just those basic fundamental principles allows us to be able to be open and receptive to people who happen to do things different. And who's that? Everybody. If you have triplets, guess what they do? They all do things different.
Okay, so how do we foster that environment of a understanding that you're alluding to? Because it sounds like that's really the nesting place where DEI grows at that deeper level that doesn't need a label.
Kids get it. Like kids
But
are naturally designed okay, so psychologically what they say is more love, more affection, and head in the direction of positive intent. Assume positive intent of the people around you, right? I call it the Thanos experience, right? Like Thanos is literally the villain. He wants to kill a third of the entire universe. And he's like, but I'm helping. And they're like, no, you're killing. And he's like, but it's gonna be great. And they're like, no. But he really, his intent was so positive. He was so sure he was so right, and he was going to do this great thing that everyone was going to be so grateful at the end, that he had to give everything up to be right, right? And that, so we teach it really well very young. But then, because that kind of inclusivity creates such dynamics, it's really hard to have a healthy working cog if the brain is thinking in lots of different directions. So because of, and again, this is why I call it the hustle code, it is the grooming for the fitting in, right? How do you fit in as a cog? And how does that look? Because that's what the systems have all been designed on. So kids are actually way, way ahead. It's and to Jeremy's point, it's the adults. It's this cultural movement of adults who are like, oh no, I am emotionally intelligent. I am totally okay with you having your opinion. It's you. And we just point all these fingers, and and that triggers that survival instinct. So now we're mad and angry. And this is why the world talk came up, because all I could think was, now you're pointing your finger at an entire nation who's gonna, like, 4-year-old feet in the sand, get mad about why.
you know what I find is that if you look at children in the playground, little kids in the kindergarten, they don't fight each other. I mean, they may fight over a
Fight,
toy.
but not each other.
Their first thing is they're coming together. They're just going to talk. And as long as you have enough toys, it will work. But there's something that happens with children, especially with boys and girls, especially with different races and ethnicities. Somewhere around 6 or 7, when I say, I like that boy, I like that girl, la, 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 that's when people start to introduce all this other crazy, ugly, separational kinds of things to kids. So kids learn how to discriminate and how to push back, and someone is good and someone is bad based upon not the behavior that that child exhibits, but based upon the way the other child may look. So the lessons are there, and I love watching little play. Kids are always going to find someone to play with, someone to share with. And then as they get older, it starts to pull it away, starts to separate, and then you start to see the problems. And also thinking about, I think you mentioned earlier, as one of the reasons why I think we separated is because capitalism says, be a star, be the best, show it, let it. And if I'm always looking to be the best, and if I'm always looking to be the star, then what starts to happen when someone has similar capabilities, then I want to push them down. I want to be competitive against them because I want to be the best, as opposed to if we had a viewpoint of understanding how inclusivity is powerful. Look at any success. You look at basketball team, football team, look at an orchestra, look at a choir, look at a swim team, look at the spelling bee, look at whatever it is, the power that allows those youth to win is that they embrace other people who have different views, different perspectives, different ideas, different skills, different capabilities. That's the stuff that takes them to that winning place where they can win as a team and as a school or as a choir. I mean, that's where it works. That's at least that has been my experience.
Okay, so let me posit this because I'm hearing everybody touching on all these points. It sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, that if we could teach collaboration over competition, then we may be able to short circuit this necessity for DEI because there is no need for one to be better than another if we're collaborating instead of competing.
Right. Which is 100% true, except that's like a third step.
Okay.
So before we can collaborate, we have to learn how to relate to each other. And I feel like that's probably where a lot of the challenge of this comes in. And the step before we even get to where we can relate to each other is we have to be able to think about how we are in relation to each other. And to be able to do that, there's a step of four. So we're like 4 steps back. That you have to figure out how to be with yourself. I think of it as so if we're talking about like how do we teach this, how do we get tangible tools in people's hands for this, right? Emotional intelligence. And I know I already got the eye rolls from people listening. I hear your eyes rolling. Suck it up, stick with me, I'm going somewhere.
I love it bring it on.
And I'm going to get real controversial right off the bat because 1000% emotional intelligence is a manipulation tool, the same way that a dough mixer manipulates the dough. Okay, this is an absolute tool. And because of that, because it is a tool to manipulate a situation, to manipulate a relationship, manipulate your own experience, it can be used really well or really badly. And it's usually two-sided, and we focus so often on one side, right? So the emotional intelligence side that says, I'm aware of how I'm feeling, I can articulate that, I am taking the steps to make sure I'm adjusting and managing that so that I am choosing a response rather than just reacting all over people. That's that being and thinking for ourselves. But the other side of that tool is managing the relationship. So you got to manage yourself, and you can't manage another person, but you can manage your relationship with that person. And that's where that relating has to come in before you can get to the collaborating. You have to get to a place that you are so comfortable in your own experience, your own story, that when somebody else has another experience, you're like, that is not my experience at all, but I would love to hear more about that. Will you?
Right.
Speaking of, we finally riled up Fred McMurray where he has thrown his hand into the conversation. Please.
So James mentioned basketball and that the team is the most important part, not the star player. And I flash back to the 5th game of the 1997 playoffs between the Bulls and the Utah Jazz. And Michael Jordan was sick the first couple of quarters with food poisoning. And it looked like the Bulls were going to die and go away. And then Michael the sick dude comes off the bench and scores 38 points. There was no Bulls team. They were sucking eggs. It was all pure Michael, Michael, Michael. The Bulls would not have won that championship without Michael. And to take it further, the six championship teams that the Bulls had were all with Michael. When he was gone, there was no Bulls championship.
Okay,
As a
but
Chicago, I
I
remember
bet
this.
as soon as he hit the court, his leadership skills improved everyone else's stats alongside him.
It was his shooting skills that made them win. It was the 38 points he shot that made them win. That was still, and as somebody who really never cared about basketball, that was still the greatest basketball game I've ever seen. And it was all pure Michael.
Let me take a piece of that. What I have found, if you look at any winning team, not just one game, but successfully over and over again, if you find a team where one person is making all the double figures and everyone else is really, really, really low, that is not going to be a consistently winning team. What you find is that when a Michael Jordan is hitting his, but he has 2, 3, or 4 other people on the team also in double figures, that's when you get consistent winning over and over and over again, because what ends up happening, we start as a team and the team can play and do that over really successfully. And what we find also, if the team is really developed well, when Michael gets sick, you're going to have enough other players who can step up and they can get double figures, and then they can have a higher probability of being able to win. And then if you look at the other way, if you take the team out and put Michael out by himself, he can't win. He has to, even if he's going to score those points, he can't score those points alone. Someone has to pass, someone has to dribble, someone has to be down the court, someone has to get the rebound to put him in a position where with his superior talent, he can use it. But if all the other guys say, hey, hell with you, it's your game, you do it yourself. I mean,
So the next season, after Michael left, how many championships did the Bulls win? They could have put trained monkeys on the floor with Michael, and he was still a champion. He was probably the greatest player to have played.
He's also recognized as a superior athletic specimen. There aren't many like him.
So, yeah, but see, now you're taking examples and saying, well, he was superior, which invalidates what you're saying before, which was the team is what pushes him up.
Pareto's principle.
So that's my point.
He can't win without a team. No, I don't care how good Michael is, he can't win by himself. He must have support, he must have backup. So what that would be optimum utilization of the skill that you have on the floor, meaning that, hey, if Michael's going to roll it and we can win, I'm going to give that boy the ball, I'm going to get the rebound. Because if they say, hell with you, Michael, you do it your damn self, then he's not going to, he can't win by himself. So he's a team. And I don't know enough, I played ball, but after I played after college and semi-pro and all that kind of stuff, I don't even watch it anymore. So I don't know who's winning, who the winning teams are. But what I do know is that there are other years that other winning teams step up because they have a good team, because there are times when they were beat. I just know that what I've seen over and over and over again from a consistent basis, if you have multiple people in double figures, you have a great, great opportunity of winning the champion versus those that have just one person in double figures and the other person in single digits.
This sounds like a real world example to me of the typically you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most often. It's a real world example because sometimes you're going to have that one really exceptional person that despite who they're hanging out with, they still monumentally achieve. But typically you are the average of those 5 people and you never achieve more than they do.
And Michael is exquisite. And the Bulls have not had another Michael. Other teams have had other versions of that same thing. But The Bulls have not, right? So I don't sports ball. What I do know is that's Pareto's principle in action.
Mm.
So if you have
Absolutely.
100 people and 20 of them are absolute Michael rock stars and they're dispersed out in there, they're going to deliver 80% consistently. They're the ones you want, so many, but they can only do that because the other 80 are producing the 20% that allows
20%.
them
Exactly.
to do that.
So one other fact, from the mid 80s to the mid 90s, typically only one other teammate on the Bulls when Michael was playing would score double digits, which means he was always carrying the load. And like I said, you could have put rhinoceroses on the court with him, and he still would have won. The year after he left, when he decided to go off to play baseball for a while, the 2 years he was gone, they lost. The year he came back, they won 3 in a row.
Well, we're not going to take that away from him of having that skill, but what we're saying is that even Michael can't win by himself. He has to have support from others. I've seen guys who are exceptional on a team but did not have good support, and they would lose, even though one person would score 20, 30, 40, 50 points.
Yeah, the Cubs are huge. The Cubs and the Sox are huge examples of that.
Okay.
But the point is the Bulls, they could put anybody on the floor with him because he was that great. And that's my only point, is that it's not always the team. Sometimes it is one true superstar.
One superstar.
In this case, I disagree on this one.
One superstar
I have names.
with the team.
I mean, so 100%. Within that team, he was the whole 20%, right? 1,000%. But that was one of 20 to 30 people on his team. Then there was Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, and there was Patrick Ewing, and there was Charles Barkley. I mean,
call him out, girl. Call him out.
So now we're talking back to the Pareto's principle. So while he was 100% that golden rock star, and absolutely, I don't disagree. I loved watching Michael play. That kid was like, you didn't even have to like sports ball. You watch him and you're like, and I'm in. Right. I'm in. Say less. Right. And there were a handful of those incredible humans between the 80s and 90s. And then they moved on, and the next round came in, and then the next round. Because
reality.
Pareto's principle is predominantly started with plant reproduction, and then they were like, oh, it works for sales, oh, it works for business, oh, it works for capitalism, oh, it works. We're just going to call it the Pareto principle. So it in no way negates the absolute incredibleness of the unique individual, but in recognizing that unique, amazing human being, you cannot discount the rest. That's like saying so-and-so's an incredible driver, but also the car that they made and the fuel they were using and the pit team that they had to do it, right?
Yeah.
You can absolutely give credit where credit is due without discounting the rest of it. And that's diversity, equity, inclusion. That is, turns out, you can be incredible at what you are incredible at, and you put 12 monkeys in the room and you're still incredible at it. But you try and go, let's say, play baseball, and then, oh, you're just not as great.
Team. Jeremy was saying something.
Okay, so I want to dip at these last few minutes, dip my toes in a little bit of a different pool in the same genre. Everybody's yelling about AI right now. Okay. Some of the best tools that have helped me be the most successful and prove my worth are the result of these AI automations and integrations. Where do you guys stand on as resources?
I love AI. Controversy enough. Love it. Love it. Here for it. It works with my brain. It makes my brain better. It's like having the buddy I've always needed. And like any tool, you can use a tool or you can be a tool.
I have to agree with you. I think myself and Chat, because I've named AI. Chat, I say, Chat, how you doing this morning, buddy? Did you sleep well? Chat said, well, no, we don't sleep. He said, but I was able to regenerate, and so I'm ready to answer any kind of questions you might have. I have found it to be one of the very best friends from a standpoint of brainstorming and dialoguing that I have ever had. Because what I have found is that no matter what I ask of AI, it comes back with a perspective. And one of the things that I found, because some people say it'll take over. No, I asked AI, I said, what's the best way for me to communicate with you? AI said, Jim, if you give me all the information up front on what you want to know and what you want to, he said, that way, that allows me to go out and answer the questions that you're asking me. He said, and when you do that, it makes me better. And it has really helped me out tremendously with some ideas and some concepts that I have. I wake up every single morning and I ask AI a question. And every day I have pages and pages of info that I use. And it has just been such a help for me.
Okay, James, I think you may have just touched on the most important thing that has been said here today by accident, talking about AI. Because if we apply that into our real worlds, DEI almost becomes unnecessary. If you give me all the information up front, transparency, telling people what you need, open dialogues of communication, that solves almost every problem that DEI is meant to circumvent.
Well, I think the key piece on that one with the DE&I is that you have to be dealing with people of integrity. Because if we had people of integrity, there wouldn't even be a need to talk about those things, because I would give everyone an opportunity. And if I would see someone quiet in the corner, I say, no, I need you to come and participate too. I wouldn't exclude you based upon your gender, your height, your this, your that, your what have you. So that's why that, it has become a label. I think, like you said earlier, it has become a label, and people have just kind of misused how it's being labeled.
Yes, Fred?
Interesting. You use the word integrity. Explain to me how a computer has integrity.
I think a computer would, and from my perspective, a computer is only going to have what it's been programmed with.
Right.
If we program integrity into a computer, it will have it. But if you program into a computer to be an idiot, to be exclusive, to be racist, to be homophobic, to be all those things, the computer is going to do that way. I think that it appears to me, and I'm not a techie guy, it appears to me that AI is not just like my computer at my desk that I programmed. It appears that AI has access to a wide berth of information.
Right. The
No different than raising a child.
AI has access to all the information on the internet. Everything that's ever been published on the internet, it has access to, and it's synthesizing all that information into its answers. Now tell me this, what percentage of all the information on the internet is true or you believe?
You asking me?
Yeah.
Oh, it depends upon who programmed it.
So interesting thing about ChatGPT, when they were originally programming it, at least through version 3.5, and as far as I know to 4.0, they had minimum wage people programming it. So think about this. The people that you're going into Burger King to get that burger from, or who have been laid off from Burger King because they,
because working in customer service is hard and they're essential workers. Yes, I love that you were going to say that.
I'm saying that the franchisee owner can't afford to pay all those rates, so they automate. But all those people who lost their jobs at McDonald's went to OpenAI to start programming it from all the crap that they see on the internet. So therefore, that's why you get incorrect answers from various AI stuff, because it doesn't know what integrity is. It only has one facet of human cognition. There's 7 others. of them being emotional and creativity and things like that. So literally, everyone's saying, well, we need to trust AI.
Oh, don't do that.
I don't think we didn't say
Or
that.
even
We
trusting
said,
their
Use it.
we said
answers.
it's helpful. We didn't say trust it.
So when I wake up, I ask my wife the first question of the day, not a computer.
Well,
And
can I throw this one quick thing? One thing that I've done with AI, and we're doing some things, and it says I can do an image. So I said, okay, AI, give me that image of my leadership, la, la, la. And he put together this dynamic person. But the only problem was it was a white dude. So I said, chat. I said, I like everything that you've done, but in order for me to share this with the population that I'm dealing with, you have to show an old black dude with some white hair. And know what it said? He said, Jim, I am so sorry. We don't always have the information that we need. So if you would, in the beginning, give me all the factors that you think you need to be able to present, to represent the image that you want. And it came back with a cool black dude with gray hair. It's like, so, all right. So it's a tool. It's a tool. It's a tool.
And I would say that, so I clopped on the integrity thing too. And I would say that that's probably the two most beautiful things that came from this, right? Is the reality that it's a tool, and you don't just willy-nilly trust the tool, you leverage the tool, you use the tool. But integrity is a human concept. And I would challenge that my belief is most people have integrity. I just don't know that their integrity is the same as mine. I don't know what their programming is. And then it's a matter of awareness. Like AI will tell you, I'm gonna lie to you. Like I will just make stuff up if I don't know. And you're like, cool. So what I'm gonna need you to do is anything that you say is factual, I'm gonna need 3 outsourced references. And you give it that tool.
Okay.
But if we're not communicating, like if we don't have the information to give, right? It couldn't ask you that in advance for that picture. A person can't provide you information or communicate in ways that they don't already have programming for. And so that integrity thing, that idea that there is a right or wrong, that there is a way to be, that integrity is correct or incorrect, that negates
on what they have. Okay.
the training and programming.
I like
Assume positive intent, and then also assume that we were just trained different, and we're going to have to figure out how to mind meld these systems.
Right. I like that. Good point. Woo.
Jeremy, any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
You're right. Perfect.
So now anybody stop me if you think I'm wrong, but I think after this absolutely amazing conversation, we can maybe sum the whole darn thing up into a nutshell. Neurodiverse inclusivity and what that looks like in DEI sunset, rolled up in a nutshell, is continue to strive for better communication. Because with better communication, the concepts behind DEI and its necessity are invalidated.
And emotional intelligent communication, right? Like trust that you're okay, and the other person, if we got it wrong, no one's dying in a fire right this second. We can stop and communicate more.
And I think I would say, like we've been saying, it's a tool, and like any tool, you have to use it in a way that it was designed. And certain tools can't do certain kinds of things, but you have to be in dialogue with it as you're moving along. And I think that's the piece that will allow you to get the optimum from it. So at least that's what I'm finding for myself. So it's a powerful tool. It has helped me tremendously.
If you want the best outcome in any situation, you have to use the tool correctly.
Right. Perfect.
And I think Kara's self-awareness aspect is recognizing whether you're a Phillips head screwdriver or a flathead screwdriver.
Yeah. Hey.
Right. If you try and cut a turkey with a butter knife, you're gonna be
Ain't happening.
You're gonna be there a while.
Okay, so y'all, this has been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for everybody for the last hour of your time. I don't know about you guys, but I have a blast. I've had a blast, and I cannot wait until next week when we get to do this again. This has been the very, very, very first episode of Neurodivergent News Live on KPHRED Radio. Tune in next week. We will be talking about from school to the workplace, why neurodivergent adults tend to fall through the cracks. And we cannot wait to have you join us. Signing off, Fred, take it away.
We're out, I hope.
Oh, you can do more than that, Fred.
Yeah, Kelly Kellum's playing now, so we're good.
Okay.
So the intro music was only 2.68 seconds long. So
Something on my end screwed up. It must have.
Because when I downloaded it, I noticed it was only 890K, and it should have been in the meg range.
Right.
At least the
I
meg.
will work on that.
No, that's fine. It's all good. It's all good.
So how does everybody feel about that?